Welcome to 4547blog.com's new Conservative POV. I'm your host, Ninj. And if you didn't watch our first episode, I think you should go and watch that one because this one has a lot to do with that. Or you could watch the Trump-Zelensky press conference. This episode's going to really have a lot to do with all of that. Just clarifying, going a little more in depth into the background and history and actually what's going on with Zelensky and in Ukraine. And also how the Democrats are responding. Of course, you know, the Democrats are taking the side of Zelensky and saying that he was attacked. We all know that wasn't true. Zelensky came into the White House with a chip on his shoulder, acted like a complete fool, and got kicked out like he deserved, right on his ass. Democrats are complaining and going insane, as, you know, expected. Well, let's start off with this first clip.
No one said that. I want to know why our ally is allowed to disrespect the United States of America, the leader, the current leader of this
J.D. Vance owns Zelensky
finish.
an apology. President Trump owes Zelensky an apology for the way he was treated.
For what?
I demand it.
What?
I demand that they give
you demand. Okay, so UN resolution number 2.
If you're going to go ahead and say preposterous things like Zelensky owes an apology for being attacked, I'm going to go ahead and say something outrageous. Actually, I'm going to go ahead.
Price of you say that Ukraine wants peace.
I think J.D. Vance should resign. How about that? We're just going to go through crazy stuff into there.
You say Ukraine wants peace. Yeah. If Zelensky wanted peace, then he would have kept his mouth shut.
What? He did until there were lies.
What? What was the
J.D.
lie?
Vance didn't lie about anything. They were talking about
not a dictator.
That wasn't.
That's not what he was
said that
responding to.
today.
That's not what he was
No
responding
one
to.
said that.
So where do I start? Dipshitty at Poindexter here is losing his mind. Now, the Democrats are soft and they don't command any respect at all whatsoever. And that's what Zelensky's been dealing with. And now he came into an Oval Office where we demand respect. We got some real men in there. We got a businessman who has been negotiating deals, big deals, not little deals, his entire life. Basically, his entire professional life at least. You know, we owe Zelensky an apology, he says. Like, what do we need to apologize for? Giving him billions of dollars and not asking for anything in return? What do we owe him an apology for? What is Trump owing him an apology for? For getting impeached and sitting silently on his hands, not saying anything and allowing President Trump to be impeached? Zelensky never thought that Trump would be elected again, just like all the rest of the Democrats. They thought that Trump was done. Over. Trump would never be back to return to do anything to them, and that's why they used every power they could and lawfare to hold him down. Nah. I think Zelensky's been treated pretty darn good. You know, they're saying J.D. Vance should resign? How about Kamala Harris should have resigned? How about Joe Biden should have resigned after the terrible botched withdrawal from Afghanistan that they try to blame on President Trump, but had absolutely nothing to do with the plan Trump had? You know, Zelensky should have kept his mouth shut if he wanted peace, just like this guy said. I totally agree, and I said this in my first episode. You don't storm into the Oval Office and start telling the people who you need help from how it's going to be and what it's going to be, and asking for demands like, I need guarantees here, when we're about to give you billions of dollars. Come in there and secure the land and then share the profits. Zelensky is crazy. You know, what these lies were being told by the Democrats is crazy. That Zelensky is not a dictator. He fits every bill of a dictator. Everything he does is being a dictator.
The West allows Putin to just take the land he's taken. What guarantee do we have he won't try and take the rest of Ukraine? I think he's a pretty ruthless, evil Russian dictator.
How are we defining, just to define the term so we can follow the same? What's a dictator?
I would start by saying you have no respect for democratic norms. A free and fair election.
Because Zelensky's obviously not elected either. He's also banned a religious denomination. He's murdered his political opponents. He has banned language group, those all seem like features of dictatorship to me. Now, he has the support of the British intelligence agencies. That doesn't mean he's not a dictator, though. That sounds like a dictator. I mean, if I gave you a piece of paper and I'm like, here are some qualities of a European leader, you would say, well, that guy, that's not legitimate. That guy's a dictator. I can't support that. But his name's Zelensky, and he was once a comedian, and he does my show, so he's not a dictator. I think it's a dictator.
Tell me he's not a dictator. Don't you think he checks every box? Checking every single box, but you're not a dictator because you got nice friends who aren't dictators? Why wouldn't Zelensky hold an election? If you're not a dictator, why aren't you holding an election? Why aren't you pro-democracy? You say you are. What he says is he'll give up being president if Ukraine gets accepted into NATO. So basically his terms are, let's go to World War III, and then I'll step down. These kind of ultimatums aren't something we should be taking lightly, which I don't think Donald Trump is, and why J.D. Vance said what he said, and why after that press conference, they told him to hit the road. Kick rocks, buddy. We ain't making no deal with you. You want to fight Russia? You want to keep talking about there can't be a ceasefire? Then don't be. Go and cozy up to your neighbors. See how much that works out for you. The thing is, we don't need to prove how much money we've given Ukraine. Everybody knows that when it comes down to the come down and the shit hits the fan, they don't want to be alone without America. I wonder why that is. But before the shit hits the fan, they can stand up on their own platforms and say whatever they want, and America's supposed to be okay with it. They can demand whatever they want from America. Make the American taxpayer shell out more money for the Ukrainian war, while a dictator does whatever he wants and plays power in Ukraine. Some of the stuff they're doing to draft dodgers over there, which they call avoiders for probably a fucking DEI reason, is crazy. It's disgusting. Donald Trump's not the only one who has tried to talk some sense into Ukraine. Ukraine is, since the beginning of the war, has been conscripting people from 25 years old, 27 years old to 60, and then they lowered it to 25. Last November, 2024, Joe Biden was pleading, and the Biden administration was trying to get Zelensky to lower the draft to 18 years old, like America has it. We don't draw up to 60-year-old people. That's a little too old. I know quite a bit of people who are 60 years old who can barely walk around in their 50s because life has been pretty hard on them. Imagine those people having to pick up a gun and run across the battle line with a bad back or whatever. Wow. Doesn't sound very fun. Doesn't sound like a democracy. Sounds pretty dictatory to me.
I'll hear, how can I put it, with what's happening with the support to change me. It will not be easy, because it is not enough to simply hold elections. You would need to prevent me from participating in the elections. And it will be a bit more difficult, so they'll have to negotiate with me. And I said that I'm exchanging it for NATO membership. And then it means that I fulfilled my mission. There is NATO. It means I've fulfilled my mission. If I am to be changed, and I'll hear, how can I put it?
Now, what makes this little fucking miniature bitch, pipsqueak fuckboy, think that he can dictate to the rest of the world that we have to go to World War III for him to not be president of Ukraine? What makes him think that's even okay? And what makes the rest of the world think that's okay? Why would anybody in their right mind be behind this? The Ukraine war is started for these reasons. Putin does not want NATO at his front door. Is that too much to ask? Obviously it is of these fucking retarded idiots. They already got invaded for wanting to be part of NATO. Putin has said for years, NATO will not be at my front door. For years, Europe has kept on pushing NATO closer and closer and closer to Russia. You don't think Russia has a reason to be pissed off? These are the facts. This is what's really going on. Amongst other things. Zelensky says it won't be easy to change him. Not enough to just hold elections. That's democracy? That's not a dictator? What are these Democrats even thinking when they stand behind people like this? He said you're going to have to prevent him from participating in an election. Why would that be? Probably because he's killed his political opponents? How is that okay? Why would it be more difficult? If you're watching this on a video podcast, do you see the smile, that sinister-ass smile that he has while he's saying this stuff? This dude's sick. He's been backed by the world, and all the shit's coming out now. Zelensky needs to get kicked to the curb. The Ukrainian people need to kick his ass to the curb, or we need to leave him alone. And if Europe wants to stand behind him, stand behind him. That's your choice. Look at the kind of stuff that he's doing to these young boys, pulling them into this war. Watch this.
Footage like this of men apparently being confronted by military conscription officers or trying to escape them is being posted across social media in Ukraine.
Ukraine is fighting and Ukraine lives. We stand, we fight, and we will win. We are not ready to give our freedom to this terrorist Putin. That's it. That's why we are fighting. Slava Ukraini!
We are going to fight for every inch of our territory.
We will continue fighting for our land, whatever the cost.
We will stand and fight. Ukraine holds its lines and will never surrender. All things which are Ukrainian will be Ukrainian. Even you, but you have nice ocean and don't feel now, but you will feel it in the future.
Shout out to Louderwick Crowder for that clip there. That's pretty hard to watch. It's disgusting. And this is what the Democrats are standing behind. This is what the Democrats are saying America wants. Notice that those videos are being posted on social media in Ukraine. So whatever the Democrats are showing on Democratic media, yeah, that's some of the people. But that's not all the people. Here's some other people in the same situation that aren't loving their situation so much. Look at America. Anywhere you go, there's going to be differences. There's going to be divides along lines. This is just disgusting how Zelensky has some kind of a personal vendetta against Putin, which I understand. Putin invaded the country. Putin took it to war. It probably didn't need to go to war, but that's what Putin did. And Ukraine has had to fight, and they fought valiantly. Nothing against them. Nothing against the people in Ukraine. Everything against Zelensky. This guy's a piece of shit. He could do better for his people. And it's Ukraine that could do better for themselves by picking someone else other than this motherfucking pussy. Get him off of the world stage. Anybody who wants to throw his people into a meat grinder so he can solve some kind of a fucking personal vendetta doesn't get my respect. Ukraine deserves better. The world deserves better. America deserves better. I commend President Trump, J.D. Vance, and the administration for putting an end to this. We will not fund one more dollar towards this until Zelensky can apologize or move forward with an election. I completely agree.
Something that the political establishment and propaganda media don't want you to know. Ukraine's President Zelensky has just banned yet another political opposition party, one that questioned his legitimacy as president, and used Ukraine's Department of Justice to mandate the seizure of this party's members' assets. Now, this is just the latest of Zelensky's actions to do this sort of thing. He began banning major political opposition parties in 2022, when he also started banning TV channels that were associated with his political opponents. And he took over total control of Ukraine's largest television networks, now controlled by their government. Now, Zelensky's presidential term ended on May 20th. He canceled elections in the name of martial law, suspending Ukraine's constitution so that he could stay in power. Now, defenders of Zelensky will say, hey, Ukraine is in the middle of a war. They can't have elections. Just stop for a moment and think, if we accept that excuse or criteria for suspending the Constitution and canceling elections, then we should presume that leaders in our own country and our own establishment media will also use this same excuse and rationale when they suspend our Constitution and our elections, since we too are at war with Russia and China. If you think this sounds crazy, look at what's already going on. They've already started conditioning us to accept a dictatorship by rationalizing their own use of our Department of Justice to target President Trump and other political enemies in their efforts to stay in power.
This is, to me, the old principle. Cheater, the person who yells cheater is the one who's cheating. This is, to me, what I think it's been for the last 4 years, is everything that the Democrats point their finger and say, hey, you Republicans are doing X, Y, Z. That's exactly what the Democrats are doing. Why would the Democrats back somebody who bans opposition, oppositional parties? They ban any kind of opposition to their party. Uses the DOJ as a weapon. Well, Democrats, we already know, are okay with that. They've used the DOJ to go after our own president in our own country, Donald Trump. Thank God he beat that, because not the entire system has been corrupted yet. Unfortunately, Zelensky took out the rest of the system. He took over the media. The United States has this same problem. Majority of the media is all Democratic media. I turn on my TV and everything is Democrat bullshit. Fox News can even be Democratic. Quite a bit of good people on Fox News, but depends on what we're talking about. How can we back a person who canceled elections and canceled his own constitution? And we have people within our own country that are justifying this right now. Everything Tulsi says here is 100% true. We should be scared. If they're backing that and they think it's okay there, what makes you think that it's not going to be okay to them here? Zelensky seems to think that if he keeps on talking about it, it's going to come true. But he says that we're going to feel it. Americans are going to feel it. Americans are going to go to war, and that ocean in between us isn't really going to matter. Maybe this is something that he just wishes, but I really hope this isn't something that anyone in the rest of the world, any country in the world, is thinking about. China, Russia, any of you. We are no paper tiger. If we didn't step in World War II, most of Europe would be German. I don't know how it would be 100 years later or 80 years later, but yeah, you guys would be speaking German. America would be free. I don't think anybody can ever take us over. And that's not being big-headed. We just got really good land and whatever. Don't try it, people. Let's hear what Zelensky has to say.
The U.S. will have to send their sons and daughters exactly the same way as we are sending their sons and daughters to war. And they will have to fight because it's NATO that we're talking about, and they will be dying.
And I think this is the plan. Why would Europe be standing up the way that they're standing up for Ukraine? Why would they be saying the things that they're saying, that they can't win without the United States? The thing about NATO is European countries can go and stand boots on the ground in Ukraine, get killed by Russia, and activate NATO. Activate the coalition we would have to join. Is this the plan? Is this the plan to get America in the war? To fight World War III? Why do these people want Russia gone so bad? Russia hasn't been the best actor. That's absolutely true. But Europe has paid more to Russia than they have to Ukraine in aid. Europe buys gas and energy from Russia. And that's costed them more than how much they've donated to Ukraine. So as long as this dynamic stays the same, Ukraine is never going to win. Without the United States, Ukraine is doomed. Even if every country within Europe steps in. Is this something that they want? Are they trying to drag us into a World War III situation? Is this mass depopulation like they've been talking about? Why would they be conscripting kids, screaming, crying, not wanting to go? How valuable are those kids going to be? Why would it be okay to throw aside all democratic principles and demand money from the United States? How is any American okay with that? Please open your eyes, Americans. This is disgusting, what he's doing. If it was your kid, you'd slap him upside his fucking head and send him to his room. Basically, that's what happened. J.D. Vance, Trump, the rest of the Trump administration slapped Zelensky upside his fucking head, told him to leave. Zelensky went and banded together with his European friends. But all his European friends know that they ain't shit without us. They're just not like us. They don't got what we got. They haven't been investing like we've invested. Nobody has. China has been, but that's a whole different story. The good thing about this is not all Europeans feel the same. And this conservative movement that hit America, this red wave that took over America, is also hitting the rest of the world. People are waking up to this woke bullshit. Nobody wants to live that way. It's literally against all common sense, being a woke person. Men can play in women's sports? When and why did we ever think that that is okay? What transvestite came out and said such a good argument that everyone else was like, yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah, let that guy box that girl in the Olympics. What the fuck are you people thinking? This has been one hell of a show to watch the last however many years. I'm so glad that the credits are about to roll. The rest of the world is not all woke and liberal. There are people like us out there, and I hope they stand up. Here's one of them.
I understand that people have their own personal view of Trump and may not like him, and I mean, I don't see him as all the things that you called him. I actually think there are millions in Europe that are absolutely delighted and relieved that he won the election, and as a strong leader can highlight all the failings of our weak liberal global order that has completely failed its citizens, failed to make Europe safe, failed European economies. We're shrinking. We're in terminal decline at the moment, and we need to take a leaf out of Trump's book, who is boosting growth growth with lower taxes, smaller state, deporting illegal immigrants, deporting criminals, all the things any normal state should be doing, but our countries are not. So people are welcoming his arrival. I think his presence here in London will give people hope that our country can have a similar change, fingers crossed. And I think it is money well worth spent. The amount of money that is wasted by our government on ridiculous DEI projects, woke projects, you've got carbon capture projects that don't work, costing billions. The billions that Keir wants to send off to Chagos Islands for the surrender of our territory, 9 billion is suggested. All this money should be spent on improving British lives, British economy and our interests. And I think that's what Trump's visit will do.
No matter what they say, Trump might not be a unifier of the entire world, but Trump is damn sure a unifier of conservative people across the planet. Trump damn sure unified conservatives and Republicans within our country. Turned the Republican Party into something that it wasn't. Brought out a new conservative movement. Something that no other Republican has done, not in my lifetime. Majority of the people I knew, including myself when I was a kid, were Democrats. That's why we think all kids are Democrats and then they become Republicans as they get older and have to pay bills and have to participate in the economy and realize how many taxes that we're fucking paying. When literally America had an uprising over a 2% tax called the Boston Tea Party. How far America has come. How much we're getting walked on by our government now. When we fought against a monarchy because they were taxing our pocket too deep. Coming full circle, Donald Trump is bringing the ethics and the values and the merit of America back. The only people that aren't going to be happy about that are the people who benefit from those things not being there. The off-brands, the retards, the fuckboys. The people that really have no business in the position that they're in. Everybody has a position. You can't put the maid in the CEO's spot. It just doesn't work out. One time out of 1,000 may it work, but that's not the norm. Here in America, we like to pretend like every single person is the dream, is the 1 in a million. It's a great way to think, and it's a great way to boost other people's confidence. But confidence isn't the only thing we need in order to succeed as a civilization. I am so glad to see conservatives banding together around the world and overthrowing this woke bullshit. I can't wait to see what the next 4 years bring with Donald Trump, with Doge. And everyone's acting like Donald Trump just made this decision on his own. Forced Zelensky to act the way that he did. If you haven't watched the full press conference, do it. If you're not going to, then don't have any kind of judgment. If you're not willing to educate yourself on something, then don't fucking pass judgment. So many people out there do that. If you don't take the time to learn, don't take the time to judge. Don't take the time to have an opinion. We're all constantly learning every day, all the time. Trump has a great set of people behind him. And he didn't make the decision to say, you know what, let's cut all this off. No more aid, no more anything to Ukraine until they apologize to us, until they can change their ways or even have an election and put somebody else, bring somebody else to us that wants peace, that wants a ceasefire, that's not going to continue to throw their citizens into a meat grinder and send people to their death, sending young men to their death. It's disgusting. I know I'm sick of seeing it, and I know plenty of other Americans are sick of seeing it. Let's end it.
We had a meeting after that exchange, after the press was asked to leave, and we advised the president, pretty much unanimously advised the president that after that insult in the Oval Office, we just do not see how that could move forward, that any further engagement would only go backwards from this moment on. And that's what we walked over and told President Zelensky and his team. And let me just talk something very quickly, that this was some kind of ambush. Right. That is absolutely and categorically false.
That's all I got for you guys today. Thank you for joining me at New Conservative POV with Ninj. I'm Ninj. We'll see you next time.